Like the low-cost airlines before them, short-term letting apps like Airbnb are making travel more affordable for people.
We want to build a one-stop shop for travel.
The founders rented out air mattresses in their San Francisco apartment. That's how the company was born.
So I actually think, we talked a lot about the sharing economy, and that term probably, frankly, got misappropriated, and it's not even clear what that term even means anymore.
And we all know that where there's no name for a problem, you can't see a problem. And when you can't see a problem, you pretty much can't solve it.
The professionalization
Be this global travel community
isn't always without its downside.
How in the world were members of society going to help individuals
when you see that the
induced gentrification,
with an estimated 5,000 properties taken out of the traditional rental market?
Intersectionality distinguishes the names that you know from the names that you don't know. Gender.
So you do have a number of EU residence programs like Portugal, like Spain, like Latvia that involve buying real estate. You're the kind of person who would want to get what they call a quote-unquote golden visa. You can buy basically as many properties as you want. You're not limited to one or two. Portugal coined that term, golden visa, and now they use the term somewhat interchangeably for some of these other European programs. Greece has a very interesting program because it's actually the cheapest program in all of Europe. It's a 250,000 euro investment, and unlike some other countries like Latvia, you can basically do whatever you want.
You found the last golden ticket. Listen, I'll buy it from you. I'll give you $50 and a new bicycle.
Are you crazy? I'd give him $500 for that ticket. You want to sell me your ticket for $500, young man?
And suddenly we're so big that we have a huge impact on society.
It makes rents higher and home prices higher. It's a special nerve. It's tied up with people's self-worth, their financial security, their identity. So there's a ton of sensitivity connected to the topic. Plus, let's be honest, a bit of economics 101 here. As the supply of rental housing goes down, the rent goes up. And consider the vicious cycle. Airbnb makes rents higher and home prices higher.
McGill urban planning professor David Watchmuth and his team studied data from the last 3 years for their report.
1 in 8 potential homes are being listed on Airbnb instead of being available on the long-term rental market. Good for travelers, good for homeowners, bad for renters.
There you are, Dad. Where have you been? I haven't seen you in days.
Ugh, I went out of town for a little while, but I made the mistake of using this app called Airbnb.
We're so happy you're staying with us.
As a prelude, Airbnb makes much of its one host, one home policy, which basically means people are listing the place they live in, a spare bedroom, or their place while they're on vacation.
Well, if the phone rings and we're not around, just take a message.
In terms of short-term letting apps like Airbnb, the evidence is that it's starting to have a profound impact in some local housing markets and on the experience of some local people.
And you just recently had an experience with some African-American women, is that correct?
Yeah.
Explain what happened there for people.
There were some women that were checking out of an Airbnb, and the neighbor said, those people don't live here, and they called the police.
I mean, there are two issues involved here. There's police violence against African Americans, and there's violence against women.
I once dressed as a farmer to get a date on farmersonly.com.
Are you Peter?
Yeah. Are you the gross lady who lives in the converted horse trailer?
You don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com.
It doesn't say whites only, but yeah.
I began to use the term intersectionality to deal with the fact that many of our social justice problems like racism and sexism are often overlapping, creating multiple levels of social injustice.
Building this end-to-end travel app where you could be this global travel community. And I think the key that makes Airbnb so different is the fact that we're a community.
This may not be much comfort to those trapped on the other side of the wall or the floor or the ceiling from a succession of fleeting guests.
How important is the walk?
Hey, if it ain't about the money, if you listen, I can get you paid, but not interested in the shit you say. If it ain't about the money.
There are lots of properties listed around here, many of them run by the same landlords.
Due to so-called ghost units being illegally used by Airbnb.
Really, it feels like your block is changing.
I am concerned that as we see this go on, if nothing changes, the block will just turn into a hotel.
The first sign of a property moving over to short-term letting is the appearance outside of these key boxes.
Emailed some instructions of how I have to check in. So here we are. This is what we've booked.
In fact, it says in the welcome folder that the entire building, 9 flats, are available from the same Airbnb hosts.
Who can stop it?
It clearly isn't somebody's home. This place has been kitted out. The whole building has been kitted out for guests. It's a hotel.
Looking for evidence of any wrongdoing is very tricky. Greater London have been legally allowed to short-term let somewhere for a maximum total of 90 days in any calendar year. We've analysed the website to find how many hosts let out more than one entire home. That may be an indication that they're operating as a business. Hugely lucrative rent-to-let businesses.
Basically, that means it's not owner-occupiers offering up their homes, but entrepreneurs who buy second, third, fourth, 10th housing units specifically to list them as rentals for tourists.
We contacted the city tax office that assured us we were covered.
But the city recently shut her down, slapping her with an $18,000 fine for running a bed and breakfast without a permit. Airbnb telling ABC News today it lists the rules for some cities on its website, but it's up to hosts to make sure they aren't breaking the law.
We're not there just for business. There are 50,000 people that depend on it to make income.
So the company has entered into partnerships with municipalities across the world. Regulation is a sign of being accepted, of being mainstreamed. So from a host perspective, Airbnb is an opportunity to generate some extra cash, a sort of side hustle built into your house.
This is one guest room that was available.
What? I'm sorry, you're in a Prius. I just assumed you were my Uber.
I don't know what that is on account of being dull.
Uber. It's like a cab, except it feels like a game because it's from your phone. Anyway, I'm late for a meeting. Can I just give you $20 to drop me off?
Wow, $20 just to drive you across town?
So TaskRabbit is the only mobile marketplace that gives you a breadth of services. It's a one-stop shop for all of your task and errand needs. If you need a handyman, a house cleaner, personal assistance, moving help, you can find a tasker right in your local community.
What are you guys in for? Bank robbery?
Drug trafficking. What about you?
Movie piracy? What? People in show business work hard to make
a community.
It's pretty great.